Good evening, my friends. My name is Melissa from Melissa's Struggling Walk with Jesus. I'm here on Monday, October 13th, sharing the Word of God with you. I am using the Amplified Holy Bible and the Navigator's Bible Reading Plan, and I'm on month 4. Today I will be reading Joshua's chapter 3, 4, and 5. So chapter 3 starts out with Israel crosses the Jordan, and it says, Joshua got up early in the morning. Then he and all the children of Israel set out from Shittim and came to the Jordan, and they spent the night there before they crossed the river. And it happened at the end of 3 days that the officers went throughout the camp. And they commanded the people, when you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God being carried by the Levitical priest, then you shall set out from where you are and follow it. Verse 4. However, there shall be a distance between you and it of about 2,000 cubits, which is about 3,000 feet by measurement. Do not come near it, so that you may be able to see the ark and know the way you are to go, for you have not passed this way before. Where it says, so that you may. The implication is that coming too close to the ark would invite the divine punishment of death, and that the people can only follow the ark if they keep a safe distance. All right, verse 5. Then Joshua said to the people, sanctify yourselves for his purpose, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders and miracles among you. Joshua said to the priest, take up the ark of the covenant and cross over the river ahead of the people. So they took up the ark of the covenant and went on ahead of the people. The Lord said to Joshua, this day I will begin to magnify and exalt you in the sight of all Israel, so that they may know that just as I was with Moses, I will also be with you. You shall command the priests who carry the ark of the covenant, saying, when you come to the edge of the waters of the Jordan, you shall stand still in the Jordan. Joshua said to the Israelites, come here and listen to the words of the Lord your God. Verse 10. Joshua said, by this you shall know that the living God is among you, and that he will, without fail, drive out from before you the Canaanite, the Hittite, the Hivite, the Perizzite, the Girgashite, the Amorite, and the Jebusite. Where it says Canaanite. The various tribal groups populating the land of Canaan were the descendants of Canaan, the youngest son of Ham, the sons of Noah. Check out Genesis chapter 10, verses 15 through 19. All right, verse 11. Behold, the ark of the covenant of the Lord of all the earth is crossing over ahead of you, leading the way into the Jordan. So now take for yourselves 12 men from the tribes of Israel, 1 man from each tribe. When the soles of the feet of the priests who carry the ark of the Lord of all the earth, come to rest in the waters of the Jordan lowering down from above will be cut off, and they will stand in one mass of water. So when the people set out from their tents to cross over the Jordan with the priests who were carrying the ark of the covenant before the people, and when those who were carrying the ark came up to the Jordan, and the feet of the priests carrying the ark were submerged at the edge of the water, for the Jordan overflows all of its banks throughout the time of harvest. Verse 16. The waters which were flowing down from above stopped and rose up in one mass a great distance away at Adam, the city that is beside Zarethan. Those waters flowing downward toward the sea of the Arabah, the salt sea, were completely cut off, so that the people crossed the river opposite Jericho. Check out Psalms chapter 114. All right, where it says Adam. The city of Adam was located about 16 miles up the river from Jericho. And where it says Salt Sea, for example, the Dead Sea. All right, verse 17. And while all the people of Israel crossed over on dry ground, the priest who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord stood firm on dry ground in the midst of the Jordan riverbed until all the nation had finished crossing over the Jordan. Right, we're going to continue on with Joshua chapter 4. This is Memorial Stones from Jordan, and it says, So it was when all the nation had finished crossing the Jordan, the Lord said to Joshua, Take for yourselves the 12 men chosen from among the people, 1 man from each tribe, and command them, Pick up for yourselves 12 stones, 1 each, from here out of the midst of the Jordan, from the place where the priest's feet are standing firm. Carry them over with you and lay them down at the place where you will spend the night tonight. Then Joshua called the 12 men whom he had appointed from the sons of Israel, 1 man from each tribe. And Joshua said to them, Cross over again to the ark of the Lord your God into the midst of the Jordan, and each of you take up a stone on his shoulder, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Israel, so that this may be a sign among you. When your children ask later, What do these stones mean to you? That verse was used by my pastor. Verse 7. Then you shall say to them that the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, when it crossed the Jordan. The waters of the Jordan were cut off, so these stones shall become a memorial for Israel forever. Verse 8. So the 12 men chosen from the sons of Israel did as Joshua commanded, and took up 12 stones out of the midst of the Jordan, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Israel, just as the Lord had spoken to Joshua. And they carried them over with them to the place where they were spending the night, and put them down there. Then Joshua set up a second monument of 12 stones in the midst of the Jordan, at the place where the feet of the priests were carried, who carried the ark of the covenant, were standing, and they are there to this day. For the priest who carried the ark was standing in the midst of the Jordan until everything was finished that the Lord had commanded Joshua to tell the people, in accordance with everything that Moses had commanded Joshua. The people hurried and crossed the dry riverbeds. And when all the people had finished crossing, the ark of the Lord and the priest crossed over in the presence of the people. The sons of Reuben and the sons of Gad and half the tribe of Manasseh crossed over armed for battle before the other sons of Israel, just as Moses had spoken to them. About 40,000 men armed and equipped for war crossed for battle before the Lord to the desert plains of Jericho. On that day the Lord magnified and exalted Joshua in the sight of all Israel. So they feared him with profound awe and reverence, just as they had feared Moses all the days of his life. Now the Lord said to Joshua, Order the priests carrying the ark of the testimony to come up out of the Jordan. So Joshua commanded the priests, saying, Come up out of the Jordan. When the priest who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord had come up from the midst of the Jordan, and the soles of their feet were raised up to the dry land, the waters of the Jordan returned to their place, and flowed over all its banks as before. Now the people came up from the Jordan on the 10th day of the first month, and encamped at Gilgal on the eastern border of Jericho. And these 12 stones which they had taken from the Jordan, Joshua set up in Gilgal. Verse 21. And he said to the sons of Israel, When your children ask their fathers in time to come, What do these stones mean? Verse 22. Then you shall let your children know Israel crossed this Jordan on dry ground. My verses 21 and 22 was used by my pastor. Verse 23. For the Lord your God dried up the waters of the Jordan for you until you crossed over, just as the Lord your God did to the Red Sea, which he dried up before us until we had crossed, so that all the peoples of the earth may know, without any doubt, and acknowledge that the hand of the Lord is mighty and extraordinarily powerful, so that you will fear the Lord your God and obey and worship him with profound awe and reverence forever. Sorry, my nose is itching. All right, chapter 5. The title is Israel is Circumcised, and it says, Now it happened when all the kings of the Amorites, who were beyond the Jordan to the west, and all the kings of the Canaanites, who were by the sea, heard that the Lord had dried up the waters of the Jordan before the Israelites until they had crossed over, their hearts melted in despair, and there was no fighting spirit in them any longer because of the Israelites and what God had done for them. At that time the Lord said to Joshua, Make for yourself flint knives, and circumcise the new generation of the sons of Israel, as was done before. So Joshua made flint knives, and circumcised the sons of Israel at Gibeath Haaraloth. So, where it says Gibeath Haaraloth, Hebrew for the hill of the foreskins, which was named for this event. All right, verse 4. This is the reason why Joshua circumcised them. All the people who came out of Egypt who were males, all the men of war, had died in the wilderness along the way after they left Egypt. And all the males who came out were circumcised. But all the males who were born in the wilderness on the way as they left Egypt had not been circumcised. Verse 6. For the Israelites walked 40 years in the wilderness until all the nation, that is, the men of war who came out of Egypt, died because they did not listen to the voice of the Lord. To them the Lord had sworn an oath that he would not let them see the land which he had promised to their fathers to give us, a land of abundance flowing with milk and honey. All right, in verse 6, where it says, all right, so for verse 6, this phrase referred to the abundant fertility of the land in Canaan. Milk, typically that of goats and sheep, was associated with abundance. Honey referred mainly to syrups made from dates or grapes and was the epitome of sweetness. Bees' honey was very rare and was considered the choicest of foods. Verse 7. So it was their uncircumcised sons whom he raised up in their place, whom Joshua circumcised, because circumcision had not been performed on the way. Then, when they had finished circumcising all the males of the nation, they stayed in their places in the camp until they were healed. Then the Lord said to Joshua, This day I have rolled away the reproach, derision, ridicule of Egypt from you. So the name of that place is called Gilgal, rolling to this day. While the Israelites camped at Gilgal, they observed the Passover on the evening of the 14th day of the month on the desert plains of Jericho. On the day after Passover, on that very day, they ate some of the produce of the land, unleavened bread and roasted grain. Check out Leviticus chapter 23, verse 14. Verse 12. And the manna ceased on the day after they had eaten some of the produce of the land, so that the Israelites no longer had manna, but they ate some of the produce of the land of Canaan during that year. Verse 13. Now when Joshua was by Jericho, he looked up, and behold, a man was standing opposite him with his drawn sword in his hand. And Joshua went to him and said to him, Are you for us or for our adversaries? All right, so on verse 13 where it says a man, whether the divine messenger was an angel or a pre-incarnate Christ is not clear from the Hebrew text. However, the message of godly assistance and pending victory was made clear to Joshua by the encounter. All right, verse 14, he said, "No, rather I have come now as captain of the army of the Lord." Then Joshua fell with his face toward the earth and bowed down and said to him, "What does my Lord have to say to his servant?" The captain of the Lord's army said to Joshua, "Remove your sandals from your feet, because the place where you are standing is holy and set apart to the Lord." And Joshua did so. Check out Exodus chapter 3, verse 5. All right, so that is all I am sharing in this video from the book of Joshua. I hope that you got something from it, and I pray that God's with you today. Thank you.